Before you watch this story, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel right now. What you're about to witness is a tale from deep in human prehistory that will blow your mind. This is the story of a brave woman who lived thousands of years ago and how she partnered with hominids to hunt the most dangerous creature of their time, a giant woolly mammoth. This is a story of courage, strategy, and survival. Trust me, you've never heard anything like this before. Watch this. 30,000 years ago, in what is now Europe, a woman named Kira walked through the frozen tundra alone. She was 30 years old, ancient by the standards of her time. Most people didn't survive to her age. Kira belonged to a small tribe of Cro-Magnons. They'd been struggling to survive the Ice Age. Food was scarce. The winters were brutal. Many of their tribe had died from cold and hunger. That morning, Kira had left the tribe to hunt. She was searching for rabbits or deer, anything that could feed her people. But what she found was something much bigger and much more dangerous. She found a woolly mammoth. The mammoth was enormous, 15 feet tall and covered in thick fur. It weighed as much as 10 humans combined. Its tusks were long enough to pierce through bone. It was one of the most powerful creatures on Earth. Kira should have run. Any reasonable person would have run. But Kira wasn't thinking about what was reasonable. She was thinking about her tribe. She was thinking about her children. She was thinking about how a mammoth could feed her people for weeks. That's when she had an idea. Kira knew she couldn't hunt the mammoth alone. She needed help. But the only other hunters nearby were a small group of Neanderthals, a different species from her Cro-Magnon people. For thousands of years, Neanderthals and Cro-Magnons had been rivals. They competed for the same hunting grounds and resources. They usually avoided each other. Sometimes they fought. But Kira understood something important. She understood that cooperation could create power that neither group could achieve alone. Kira approached the Neanderthal group carefully. There were 5 of them. They were strong and powerful, with strong jaws and thick muscles. They were excellent hunters themselves. When the Neanderthals saw Kira, they didn't immediately attack. They were wary, but curious. Kira used hand signals and sounds to communicate her idea. She pointed at the mammoth in the distance. She pointed at herself, then at them. She made throwing motions, suggesting coordinated hunting. One of the Neanderthals, a large male she called Grok in her mind, seemed to understand. He nodded slowly. He'd been hunting long enough to recognize both the danger and the opportunity. Grok communicated with his group. They talked in their own language, a combination of grunts and hand signals that was different from Kira's language. Then something remarkable happened. Grok nodded at Kira. The Neanderthals agreed to hunt the mammoth together. The group came up with a strategy. Kira had learned to make spears out of sharpened stones and wood. The Neanderthals were stronger and more powerful. The plan was simple but dangerous. Kira and the Neanderthals would work together to separate the mammoth from its herd. Then they would force it toward a cliff. The mammoth would be cornered, and they could attack from multiple directions. They moved slowly and carefully through the snow. The mammoth noticed them, but it didn't run immediately. Mammoths were dangerous when cornered, but they weren't usually aggressive unless threatened. Kira and the Neanderthals began making noise. They threw rocks. They shouted. They moved in coordinated patterns that made the mammoth nervous. The mammoth started to move away from the herd. It was working. The creature was being separated. They drove it toward the cliff. The mammoth began to realize it was being hunted. It turned and faced them. Its trunk raised. Its tusks pointed forward like weapons. This was the critical moment. If they attacked now, the mammoth would fight back with all its power. One of the Neanderthals, braver or more foolish than the others, charged forward with a spear. The mammoth charged too. The impact was like a thunderbolt. The Neanderthal flew backward, blood streaming from his chest. He was wounded but not killed. Kira seized the moment. She ran forward with her spear and struck at the mammoth's leg. The spear penetrated the thick hide. It wasn't a killing blow, but it was a wound. The mammoth turned its attention to Kira. It charged at her, trunk raised. Kira ran. She ran toward the cliff, knowing that the mammoth would follow. At the last moment, she jumped to the side. The mammoth couldn't stop. It was running at full speed. Its weight was against it. Its momentum carried it forward. the mammoth went over the cliff. It fell 40 feet onto the rocks below. The impact was devastating. The creature was dying or dead. Kira and the Neanderthals approached carefully. The mammoth was still moving slightly, but it was finished. They had won. Over the next days, Kira and the Neanderthals worked together to process the mammoth. They carved the meat. They used every part of the animal. They made tools from the bones. They made warm clothing from the fur. There was enough food to feed both groups for weeks. But something more important than food happened during this time. Kira and the Neanderthals had proven that they could work together. They'd proven that different species could cooperate. They'd proven that communication and strategy could overcome physical limitations. Kira spent time with the Neanderthals, learning their techniques for making tools. The Neanderthals learned from Kira how to make more sophisticated spears and how to plan hunts in more complex ways. A relationship formed between the two groups based on mutual respect. When it came time for Kira to return to her tribe with her portion of the mammoth meat, Grok and the other Neanderthals helped her carry it. Kira brought back enough food to feed her tribe for weeks. Her tribe recognized that Kira had done something extraordinary. They recognized that she'd found a way to cooperate with their rivals. Over the next seasons, more hunts happened between Kira's Cro-Magnon group and Grok's Neanderthal group. The hunts were successful. Both groups thrived. Gradually, the relationship between the two groups shifted from rivals to partners. They shared hunting grounds peacefully. They traded tools and knowledge. They occasionally married and had children together. Kira had changed the course of prehistoric history by realizing that cooperation was stronger than conflict. Archaeologists have found evidence of this cooperation. They've found Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal tools used together in the same sites. They've found bones that suggest the groups hunted together. They've found genetic evidence that the groups interbred. Scientists believe that this cooperation, this willingness to work across species boundaries, was one of the reasons that Cro-Magnons eventually thrived while Neanderthals eventually disappeared. Cro-Magnons had learned to be more flexible, to form alliances, to cooperate for mutual benefit. Kira's story, though thousands of years old, teaches us something important today. The story teaches us that cooperation is more powerful than competition. The story teaches us that you don't have to be the strongest or the most powerful to make a difference. You just have to be intelligent enough to see opportunities and brave enough to pursue them. The story teaches us that when different groups work together, they create something neither group could create alone. The story teaches us that survival isn't just about individual strength. It's about community. It's about building relationships. It's about recognizing that we're stronger together than apart. Kira lived through the Ice Age and survived to an old age, ancient for her time. She had children and grandchildren who carried on her legacy of cooperation and partnership. Her willingness to cross species boundaries and work with the Neanderthals didn't just help her tribe survive. It shaped human evolution itself. Final call to action. If this ancient story moved you, if it made you think about the power of cooperation and the importance of seeing possibilities instead of obstacles, then I need you to do something right now. Hit that like button. Share this video with someone. It could be someone who's facing challenges that seem impossible alone, someone who needs to remember that cooperation creates power, or simply someone who loves fascinating stories from human history. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss these stories about courage, innovation, and working together. Because here's the truth. We're living in a world that often teaches us to compete and to see others as rivals. But the story of human evolution teaches us the opposite. We survived and thrived because we learned to cooperate. We became the dominant species on Earth not because we were the strongest, but because we were the most willing to work together across boundaries. In your own life, look for opportunities to cooperate instead of compete. Look for ways to bridge divides. Look for allies and people you might have dismissed as rivals. Because true power comes from partnership and cooperation, not from individual dominance. Leave a comment below and tell us, have you ever cooperated with someone unexpected? Have you ever solved a problem by working with people you thought were rivals? What's a challenge you're facing that might be solved through partnership? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might inspire someone else to reach across a divide. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We release new stories every single week about real people who cooperated across boundaries, who worked together to achieve the impossible, and who understood that together is always stronger than alone. We'll see you in the next video. Stay cooperative, stay bold, and remember, the greatest achievements come when we work together. Thank you so much for watching.